Hello everyone, my name is Michael Lee and I'm a solutions engineer at DJI. Welcome to the training on the Zenmu's L2 Powerline Follow feature. Today we'll dive into how this tool revolutionizes powerline inspections and uses DJI's advanced LiDAR technology. So I'm going to start with the basics. The current firmware as of November 2025 is listed here. Note that this is shown for the Matrice 400 RTK, but the Powerline Follow also works with the Matrice 300 and the 350. As long as you're using the DJI RC Plus. Always check on our DJI website for official compatibility tool and latest requirements, as everything can vary by model. This will ensure that your setup is optimized and safe and efficient for operations. Okay, let's cover compatibility real quick again. So the Powerline Follow feature is designed for enterprise DJI drones. So that will include the Matrice 300 with the RC Plus, the 350 with the RC Plus, and the M400 with the RC Plus. As you can kind of see here, the big factor is needing that controller in order to do the Powerline Follow feature. Now we're going to shift into the electricity industry and how LiDAR fits in. LiDAR applications have evolved, creating detailed point cloud models of transmission and distribution lines for vegetation analysis or planning inspection routes. In the past, unclear tower coordinates meant manually marking and scanning, which is extremely time consuming. But now with the new L2's Powerline Follow feature, we've essentially solved that. So we're going to take a look at some examples that the LiDAR can produce. So we can get point cloud scans, capturing the structure in 3D, vegetation analysis, highlighting overgrowth risks, and inspection route planning, optimizing your paths for efficiency. So this is going to illustrate the traditional LiDAR workflow. It's divided into two separate processes during the data collection. So you'll have flight route planning and task operation. But we're going to start with project preparation. So typically this is like ensuring that you have the right device and all the firmware is done correctly. And then you're going to move to pinpointing with the aircraft, route planning, and any payload settings. And then next is task operation. So with pre-flight checks and flight execution, followed by data transfer and processing. So this flowchart essentially shows how it's a multi-step, often manual process done. So we'll see in the next slide how the Powerline Follow feature essentially simplifies this pretty simply. Okay, so contrast with the new workflow using the Powerline Follow, you can see with this feature, the LiDAR data collection is finished in one streamlined step. So preparation remains similar, ensuring that you have the right device, it's all updated, but the data collection now essentially handles the Powerline identification, the parameter settings, the selection, and flight all at once. Then it's straight to data import, processing, and review. So that's going to be in your DJI Terra. Essentially, this cuts down on time and reduces human error, making the LiDAR Powerline Follow feature a lot faster and safer. Now let's get into some of the core features. So the Powerline Follow feature allows the drone to essentially follow the power lines without any advanced route planning. So key highlights are going to include wire recognition, which automatically identifies the channels and branches for you to select which route of the Powerline Follow that you'll be essentially going toward. So where the aircraft follows the line based on the parameters while collecting the LiDAR data, and you also get real-time 3D point cloud views on the remote control. So this image right here, you can see this yellow line is a typical flight where you can see the drone is flying over these lines with the drone handling the path intelligently. So let's kind of go over the workflow. So step one, that's always going to be your preparation. So for the M300 and the M350, we recommend installing a CSM radar for enhanced safety during the flight. Note that this is specifically for the 300 and 350 only, because the M400 RTK already has a built-in rotating LiDAR module on top and millimeter wave radar built in. So the CSM add-on isn't compatible or even necessary with the M400. Across all the models, we're going to want to enable the horizontal obstacle avoidance in the Pilot 2 app. We recommend about a 10 meter braking distance. We want to ensure that we have RTK signal, our flight mode is set to N, and if possible in your region or area, I would recommend enabling a 4G enhanced transmission if available. Step 2, parameter settings. So we're going to fly right above the lines, as you can see right here in the image. And then you're going to switch to the L2's visual light camera. You're going to make sure that you have your gimbal down and positioned so that the tower is visible in the upper view. And then click the Powerline Follow icon shown here. And then a bunch of parameters will pop up, and that's where you're going to want to set your parameters. So continuing with recommended parameters, you're going to select what power line type you have. So depending if you're inspecting distribution or transmission, you would select that for better accuracy. You're going to set follow speed based on conditions. So we recommend slower for more complex areas. Altitude is going to be relative to the wires. Gimbal pitch, it automatically defaults down to -70, but the range is -90 to -70. We're going to want to enable our IMU calibration for precise flights, and then we're also going to ensure that no obstacles are nearby. And then we want to select RGB coloring to add photo-based colors to the point clouds. And then some other settings we're going to want to recommend is triple return, 240 kilohertz sampling, and non-repetitive scanning. So you can see in the screenshot how intuitive the interface really is when you're adjusting the parameters in Pilot 2. So this is going to be a handy table for some of those recommendations we were talking about. So for speed, based on if you're doing distribution or transmission, we recommend 8 meters per second or about 18 miles per hour for distribution, 10 meters per second or about 22 miles for transmission. And for altitude, we're going to talk about 30 meters or 100 feet, and then gimbal -70 degrees. Again, IMU on, the triple return, 240 kilohertz, and RGB on, non-repetitive. So this is like a really good starting point for your Powerline follow. You may need to tweak depending on the results and the environment that you're in, but this is a good standard to start with. Step 4, Powerline identification. So next, once the IMU calibration is enabled and completed, the app will display some of the identified lines. If you're not seeing the lines or it's not reading the lines, we recommend descending 20 meters and retrying, and you could select your line and start. So step 5, once you begin the follow, you will no longer need to give it any stick control. The drone is going to start following the line by itself. And as a reminder, if there are any emergencies, you can always hit the red stop button on the controller, or you could switch modes. So this is a good point. Whenever you need to stop your flight, we recommend you can monitor the FPV to avoid any small obstacles. As you can see in this screenshot right here, this is kind of how the Powerline follow feature looks like. Step 6, Powerline junction selection. So when you get to the next Powerline or it splits, you will have the option, the drone will hover, and you'll have the option to select your next line. As you can see here in the screenshot, you can select to go to the left or to the right. If you wanted to go to the left, you select 4. If you wanted to continue going straight, you can select 9. And then step 7, you're going to want to finish it. So you can click the icon to end the mission, and the point cloud will save. A pinpoint can be created for resuming interrupted tasks. Some other ways that the mission will automatically end, if there's some unrecognizable lines, emergency stop, any mode switches, low battery return to home, or the return to home button was hit, or signal loss. So this will kind of be some of the reasons why your mission may stop or automatically stop. So let's kind of address some of the frequently asked questions. What are your suggestions regarding flight safety? So first, we recommend the CSM radar and monitoring the FPV while the operation is occurring. Please, what are some parameters that you would recommend? We have the chart, so you can see, depending on what kind of lines you're doing, you can see what kind of altitude or speed and gimbal pitch we recommend. Situations that are hard for the L2 to follow and should be avoided. We said some of these scenarios could be like substations, towers, vegetation, or any line-shaped objects like buildings nearby, billboards, streetlights. Okay, now let's explore something new to the M400 and the M400 only, is the L2 and the H30T dual mount. This basically allows simultaneous LiDAR and thermal and visual inspections. So the benefit of this is that we're able to combine Powerline Follow feature that we just went over, and we can also use the H30T at the same time. So we're able to collect multi-sensor data all in one flight pretty efficiently. And you can switch between these two payloads pretty efficiently in Pilot 2. So this image shows kind of how the dual setup looks like. Note again that this is only available with the M400, and the dual gimbal mount will be required. This detail is the setup. So step 1, we're going to want to mount the L2, the H30 using that dual gimbal mount. We're going to power on and calibrate in Pilot 2. Step 2, select dual mode. So you're going to want to select your primary as L2 and your secondary as H30T. And then after the L2 is set up, you can switch to the H30T view and start interval photos or video. So this makes kind of a hybrid inspection pretty seamlessly. So once you've started your Powerline Follow feature, as you can see here in your L2, you would then switch to your H30 and start whatever you want, videos or photos. So you can see here we kind of have two payloads, and the L2 is following the power lines as the H30 is able to take video or photos. Okay, so this kind of highlights what you'll get as an end result. So you get comprehensive data, you can get point clouds for analysis, plus thermal and visual for maintenance. This is pretty efficient for just all-in-one mission. Some of the deliverables you're going to get are LAS files, thermal images, and high-resolution RGB photos. So this combo really elevates Powerline inspections. So you kind of see the end results here in Terra, and then you can see how in Pilot 2 it's flying the Powerline Follow feature. With the newest addition, the L3, the Powerline Follow feature is also supported and has an added line bypass feature, which essentially allows the drone to fly in a smooth path without stopping or manually maneuvering around the obstacles. So this is really exciting with the L3 because it has such an improved LiDAR for better detection of smaller objects and increased point cloud density and penetration in complex environments. So just a reminder that the L3 also supports the advanced Powerline Follow feature. And this wraps up our presentation and training today. Thank you for joining this training on Zenmu's L2 Powerline Follow.